episode 2 of the Down the Rabbit Hole podcast. We're back.
We're back, man. So
Popular demand. The views are off the chart. Not really, but they're getting there. They're getting there. How have you been, mate? Something's wrong with your eye.
yeah, I had a little bit of a sort of irritation there. I don't know if people can see it, but it's been scratching it. But yeah, we just got ice last hour. But yeah, it's just let you know, I'm not,
Yeah,
there's nothing at all going on here.
He didn't come second best in a fight.
Yeah, but no, it's just it's irritated eye. So
it happens.
Irritating in general. Though.
But the show goes on. The show goes on. In episode 2, if we could title it, it is a toxic masculinity episode. There's some really bad behavior by the lads.
Yeah, the lads.
Okay, look, let's get straight into it. It. Andrew Tate, what's happening?
I'm not even sure if we're allowed to even say his name.
Oh man, gonna get the show shadow banned before we even start. Okay. What is the latest with Tate?
So obviously, like, he got arrested a couple of weeks ago, and it was the whole thing with Greta Thunberg and the pizza box and all that, which I think ended up not being true.
What do you mean?
Meaning that
it's a real tweet.
No, but I don't think the Romanian authorities found out that he was in Romania.
Oh, because of the pizza box.
Yeah.
So hold up. Off the back of that, they were looking for him.
Yeah, I believe they were, and they probably were doing some sort of investigation. So I've heard, it's the human trafficking, but I've heard it's more money laundering, actually.
Money laundering?
Yeah. I heard that is...
So tax evasion?
Yeah, that's the one they're trying to get him for.
Yeah.
I don't think they have much on him on human trafficking. So, yeah, it's... he just got his request denied.
So he's in jail now, right?
Yeah, he's in jail. He requested to leave early, and I think he got his request denied. He's supposed to be out by... It's a 30-day detention, which is a bit weird as well.
Yep.
So I don't know if they've charged him fully with something.
Yep.
But right now it's just allegations. So
allegations.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we get into that, which we more or less have covered it, he's in jail now. Like, all the proceedings are happening.
Yeah.
Who is Andrew Tate? Like, where's his influence sphere come from? And is he only a guy that's this influential on the internet?
Yeah. Basically, so he's been on reality TV shows before, ages ago.
Well, like not The Bachelor, like Love Island or something.
Yeah, Love Island, Survivor or something like that. I think he was on. He was on Big Brother as well. That's sort of
sure.
He nearly got into a fight with someone in Big Brother. He's a kickboxer as well.
Yep.
So
that I've seen,
and yeah, he's just sort of been like a B-list sort of thing for a while, and then I think he figured out how to work the internet, basically.
You're right.
All the algorithms, all that. He basically created, it's called Hustlers University. It's not, I think it's running anymore.
It's a scam, is it? It's a pyramid. Come on.
I'm not saying that.
How do you not? Have you subscribed to Hustlers University?
I haven't subscribed. I'm not wasting my money. But
hustle, boy.
But he created that, and it's I give respect where it's due, right, in terms of like marketing.
Yeah.
Because he was everywhere, all over TikTok, when he wasn't really from he didn't really have an account, I think, at that point, but he had this scheme where Hustlers University, members of Hustlers University would basically create content for him, right?
Yeah.
And it's the stuff that he talks about in that Discord.
Yeah, but isn't it the... Okay, let's just go.
But
get straight into it.
That's how he cheated. Not cheated, but he worked the algorithm.
Yeah.
So he basically became one of the most famous people on the planet.
But by talking nonsense, right?
Well, he's talking to an audience.
What is
he's
Andrew
talking to an
Tate's
audience?
Yeah. So his audience is young men.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've always said in any sort of political environment, this is where we might get in trouble. Well, any political environment, where there's an action, there's a reaction, right?
Yep.
A lot of, I mean, the current political environment is that there's a lot of woke sort of terminology sort of going on.
Yep.
And not that it's all bad or anything. It's just that's what it is at the moment.
Yeah.
And to that, you'll have a reaction. And then just like there was before with in the early 2000s, where there was a lot of I guess right wing terminologies and ideologies sort of dominating, and then there was a reaction to that.
Yep.
it sort of goes up and down. I think this is the reaction to it, and there's an audience that is reacting to this.
Yep.
That is sort of, I guess, attaching themselves to this, and he's become famous. He's become one of the most famous people on the planet. Man, they're trying to get him for fights with Logan Paul. And
Okay. Do we agree that he goes out of his way to push his agenda and maybe to the extreme sort of view in terms of the words? He's been labeled a misogynist.
Yeah.
Like a lot of this, I'm not, trudging through the internet to watch every Andrew Tate YouTube. But if you go on Twitter now, like to do a little bit of research for this, there's so many extremes of opinion. You have like younger men that like idolize him. You have people that hate him, and it's divisive, right?
Yeah,
and he plays into it. Those sound bites can be taken out of context.
It can as well, right? So that's the other side of this.
But it's like it's deliberately. He doesn't come across as a stupid person. Like it's like he's curated everything that he does is curated to maximize publicity. In the most extreme, either you love him or you hate him sort of vibe.
So I'll tell you what's going on right now.
Yeah.
So we're in a pretty interesting age of media.
Yeah.
Right? So I believe right now, like social media is very much tabloid it's tabloid speak. What the tabloids used to be in the early 2000s is what I believe a lot of social media is right now, right?
Yep.
Where there's a mountain of information. You don't know what's true. You don't know what's real. You don't know, but the most dramatic stuff is what gets a lot of the attention, right?
Sure.
He's worked it out that if I be this dramatic, I'm going to get a lot of attention.
Yeah.
I think he's a smart guy. I think he knows that there was a gap in like a niche that he could go after that would actually is a bit more than a niche, right? If you're looking at the reaction to how popular he became, I think it's a bit more than a niche. I think there's probably a lot of people that sort of messaging plays to. But yeah, I think he's worked out social media, and in a way, I think it's actually pissed off a lot of the big tech companies.
You think it's a tech company thing?
Yeah, I
mean, I know he got banned off. Was it YouTube?
He's got banned off everything,
right?
And then Elon Musk brought him back on Twitter.
Yep.
But I just think, I think he worked it out in a way.
Yep.
Where he became the most searched man on the planet. That was recent.
Yeah.
Google. He was one of the most searched men on the planet. So that's pretty big, right? To work out like an algorithm of social media to become one of the biggest men on the planet is crazy when you think about it.
So interesting opinion. I mean, just because you're right. We're in a very interesting time on the internet. Everyone has access. Yeah. To a mic, to a platform. Anyone can upload a clip to YouTube on their phone. It doesn't have to be with high sort of production. But does everyone's message need to be heard? And I guess this is where you have the free speech. It's free.
Yeah.
But at what point, if you go into a room and you have 5 people and they each have their own opinion and person one, just by his disposition, wants to be heard, turns it loud, just because he wants to be heard, starts yelling things to the extreme. Do you think is it a character, or is it this what he really is? Or is it somewhere in the middle, which kind of usually is?
I think it's a character.
Yeah.
So I'm also thinking it is a character.
So he's a heel, really?
Yeah, he's a heel, basically, in wrestling speak. Yeah. He's a heel. But I think he's a smart dude. I mean, his father was a chess player.
Sure.
Right? And apparently a really master chess player as well. I think this is all chess moves in his sort of game that he's playing. He knows.
And what's the end game? Yeah.
The end game is get even more paid than
popularity and money. Right?
He's pretty rich as is.
Correct. So it almost seems like at a certain point,
it's not about money though.
I would say that too.
Maybe it's not about money. I think it's more about
fame, the power, the addiction to all of that, because he's getting it.
Yeah, he's getting it, and we're seeing the type of reaction. In schools, they're like banning talk of Andrew Tate.
So that's
and not even just to that extent. They're banning you can't speak his name, like his Voldemort, and then it's going beyond that. They're trying to go up, a lot of the education.
Who's they? You keep saying they.
Yes,
institutions,
Department of Education, for example, right? I saw some clips in the UK. Where there's a female MP and she was like, we need to introduce curriculum that sort of combats this sort of, they fear that, Andrew Tate's going after the young young men and, disillusioning them and sort of changing their minds on what,
What is the Matrix? Like what? Like some of the, okay, so, honestly,
What do you mean? What is the Matrix?
it's Keanu Reeves, man.
It's Keanu, man. It's dodging bullets, isn't it?
Oh, my, like some again. This
Well, he's used this as a funny metaphor.
just tell me you did pay for Hustle's
No,
University.
I
didn't
didn't,
you?
man.
You
Why
want
would I-
that pill, don't you?
This is what I get. Why would I pay money to just
So you want to be like
access to
Andrew
a
Tate?
Discord? Like, sorry, I just don't see the point in it. Like, especially when his content is everywhere anyway, right? If I wanted to see his content,
Well,
I
no
just go to-
longer in the life.
Well, no, but that's the thing, right? He's
Yeah.
uncancelable in a way. Like, he got basically blocked off every social media platform, but I still saw his videos
Of course, I mean it's very
because of the way he set up his
You're drawing a pyramid scheme. You're drawing a pyramid scheme, dude.
That was not. I didn't do that on purpose.
He's marketing manager or something.
No, but like the way he set up his structure, right,
Sure.
of his Hustlers University, I don't think he'll ever.
Where can I go to get this?
I don't think he'll ever be cancelled. That's just the fact of it. I think because people always make new channels and they always make his content. They always sort of get money from that. Which it's just a scheme that I don't think will ever die out for him. He talks about, like, before he got arrested, he says 3 things are going to happen to him.
Yep.
Is that he's basically said that they're going to try cancel me.
Yep.
As the first thing.
Sure.
And then they're going to try put me in jail for something I didn't do.
Yep.
And then they're going to try kill me. And he's like, I will never ever kill myself. Just to let you guys know here.
Yep.
Like he said, I'll never kill myself. That's 100% take that to the grave, if you want.
Yep.
If I'm dead, I'm killed. That's what he said.
Okay. In the history of the internet, which is relatively young, can we say the internet's is relatively young? I don't know. Okay.
30 years?
Let's just
20, 30
let's just say
years?
it is. Okay, if it is, right? Has there been a figure like Andrew Tate?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I'm not quite sure to that level. I mean, we've seen personalities.
So
right?
yes, correct. So you say to that level. What's the level and what makes him different?
Well, to the level where he's been talked about in schools.
There's been
Right.
a lot of personalities that have been blocked off social networks for talking outrageous amounts of beep.
Yeah.
But yeah, is it just that we're in?
But has anyone ever been like banned in, like, even talking about their name in school? That I don't think I've ever heard.
The only thing that I can think of,
the only thing I can think of that is similar would be Adolf Hitler. Really.
you don't bring Hitler in the podcast. I meant in this modern era, right?
Yeah,
I'm talking about the social media.
In the internet, no. I don't think in the
you
internet.
don't think so?
There's not been anyone.
Kanye's been banned how many times?
But Kanye's not banned about
copious amounts
talking
of
about it
crap.
in schools, right? Kanye is. You can still talk about it. Like, if you're in school and you're talking about Andrew Tate, caught talking about Andrew Tate, you can get suspended.
Who's talking about Andrew Tate?
These young men.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I can think of different, in that he has a very definable
Audience.
target audience.
Yeah.
And it's he's the poster boy for toxic masculinity, right?
Yeah, I mean,
well, in the media, like
in the media,
he is, right?
The media hate him. I mean, they try, like, I like to keep a level-headed thinking about him, right? Like, the media hate him because he got famous without their help, right? He got famous on social. A lot of people, the media hates anyone that gets famous on social media.
Media doesn't
established media, at least.
Media doesn't hate Mr. Beast. Like, no, but you can't say that, can you?
Oh, no, I still think
that. It's his agenda that, I mean, they hate him, but I saw like a comment in like an Andrew Tate video, like, but he's created so many jobs for journalists. Because, like, seriously, like, how can they hate him when every second you just put his name there and you'll get stuff like that? So it's a weird dichotomy of a relationship. And the media as a machine is a lot of different things. I believe that they're...
To me, like, what's scary about this and what's sort of... Like, look, I don't agree with a lot of stuff that Andrew Tate says, but...
What do you agree with? You got Hustlers University, mate.
Well, no,
you're all about this Matrix, eh?
I don't agree with a lot of his... Like, I mean, he says some funny... Like, to me, he's funny in some instances, right? Like, when he's, like, saying, oh, yeah, you should meal prep. Like, what the hell you mean? He's, like, making fun of people meal prepping.
Definitely shouldn't meal prep.
And it's like, it's just, like, some of that is kind of funny and... He has that song that's sort of his theme song and TikToks sort of in a way, which is weird. He says he never even
I
made.
am not in that rabbit hole.
Yeah, but like,
specifically.
yeah, it's just to me the scary part was how swiftly and quickly and how efficiently he got sort of cancelled in a way. The fact that anyone can get cancelled like that is it should be a bit scary, right? Like they not only just took him off social media, like he couldn't use PayPal, Uber Eats, his bank. You know, that I don't think I've heard that before, right? Like that's where I'm like, this is like a new level of canceling someone when you're going after his money and you're going after his bank. You couldn't even use Uber Eats.
It all goes under the whole aspect of free speech.
Yeah.
And do you
Where's that
believe?
line?
Yeah, where's the line?
Where's that line?
And if I mean, okay, let's take an extreme example. If there was a terrorist at Twitter, I don't know.
Well, actually, no. This is a real example of I think what you're going for, right? Is that if a terrorist would tweet something and they'd be okay, and then he's actually brought up this example.
So you would want the moderators of Twitter to cut it off, right?
Yeah.
So like, we're hopefully everyone agrees that that's
I think
fair example.
I think Andrew Tate brought up this example with the Taliban.
Sure, because
the Taliban has Twitter.
Yeah.
And they're causing all these atrocities, yet he's banned off. So he's bringing up like this sort of
that's
interesting.
That's the point. So the point is who gets to be judge, jury, and adjudicator, and to what extent is it free speech? Free speech, right?
Elon now.
but we agree, right?
Well,
like that is in essence.
That's where like
the argument.
Facebook, right? They were these Senate inquiries as well, right?
Sure.
So like it's becoming a big deal.
Yep.
In terms of like where does the regulation come in?
Yeah.
Where like how do you regulate social media? I think that's the biggest question.
Yeah.
That I don't think they've properly done right now. I mean, there's a lot of I guess like anti sort of cyberbullying laws that have come in, but it's not clear enough. I don't believe. I don't think so. Like it's
going to be evolving, right?
Yeah, it's evolving. I mean, you're right. We are very young in terms of what it is, right? It's like 25 years, I would say.
Yep.
The internet is really sort of started and grown, and like it is where it is right now. But what the internet is in maybe even 5 years, we don't even know.
Yeah. So all this begs the real question that everyone wants to know. When is the next Andrew Tate podcast going to be in the Romanian jail? Like, when are we going to get it?
I don't know.
Are the acoustics good? Like, can we get him a Focusrite or something? Like, people want to hear, no? So what happens now? Like, he gets his time under the sun. Like,
I don't know. Like, okay, what he is saying is that, look, any sort of system is corrupt.
Yep.
And they can be paid off, and they can put him in jail for 30 years if they wanted to, right? It's that sort of corrupt sort of system.
In Romania, you mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, I have a feeling he will get deported to America and have to answer, because that's where
I thought it's under Romanian jurisdiction, and
so apparently the human trafficking stuff. There's a lot of American girls that are part of this, right? So, I mean, would he have to get deported, or extradited, or something? No one knows. But the thing is that this has happened before to him, where he had to go to the police, and basically for the same charge or same allegation, and he said he just had to sign a couple of papers, and then he was just gone.
Yeah,
back. And I'm like, I mean, that could happen, but this seems a bit different. The fact that he's in 30 days detention in jail on an allegation, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if they formally have charged him.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and whether they have enough evidence to charge him.
Yeah.
That's the question, right? But I mean, yeah, it's just gonna be something that if he does come back, he'd be a very marked man from the social media perspective. I don't know if he'll. I don't know. Is he? He might be banned on Twitter now. You don't even.
I don't know. I mean, his stuff is all around.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
But like, what's going to happen to him? That's because he had all this stuff lined up, like possible boxing fights with Jake Paul and Logan Paul is the money one. I think that everyone sort of is thinking that should happen, but
yeah, I would think right now boxing fights is going to be far from his mind. But look, evolving story, I guess.
Yeah,
and TBC. TBC re the Andrew Tate saga.
Yeah.
On from one copious individual to the other man of the hour, Dana White.
Oh, no.
Again, this,
We gotta be careful.
yeah.
We're gonna be careful, man. Your press pass.
My UFC pass is gonna get cancelled to this. Okay, all right. The Dana White situation. I mean, you've seen the video.
Yep.
TMZ. So just to put it out there, if for those who don't know, I think it was a New Year's Eve party. Dana White and his wife of 20 plus years.
Yeah.
27 something.
Yeah.
So they've been together. Got into an altercation. So she slapped him first. And yeah, the video's in the video. So he responded.
Just sort of the question, like it was a bit blurry what he did.
Yeah.
Because she slapped him, but did he punch her?
No.
Or was
he
it a
slapped her
slap
back.
as well?
He slapped
Okay,
her
it was a
back.
slap
Yeah,
back. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
So it's grainy footage. It's
grainy,
out on the
yeah,
internet. It's
yeah.
on TMZ. So you can go and look at it. But he returned. Yeah, he returned the slap. So that's one element. And if you're a guy as in Dana White, president of the UFC, you can't do that at all anyway.
It's
right?
not a good look.
Yeah, it's not that it's not. It's just not right.
Right.
So the interesting narratives to come out of this is A, it got caught on camera, B, it got leaked. Not leaked, but yeah, it's out for public consumption. And there are a couple of different elements here that are interesting. One is that as at now, there's no punishment for it. And a lot of people are calling for some level of, you can't do that. And I think he appeared in a press conference.
Yes,
to
I
promote.
saw that.
You
I
saw
saw
that,
that
right?
press conference, and everyone's a bit pissed off. Like, why is he deciding his own punishment?
Well,
theoretically deciding his own punishment.
Yeah. So what did he say? He said that if I take 30 to 60 days off, it doesn't make me. Yeah, it doesn't it makes the fighters worse off, right?
Yeah.
So using some level of a justification. Before we get into that, what do you think of his demeanor? Remorseful? I mean, he's been in front of the camera for so long, so he's a polished guy in terms of that regard. I mean, it seemed like he was remorseful for his actions, right?
Well, one of the questions that was asked of him at that press conference was like, look, in 2014, you was a fighter that, hit another fighter, hit a woman, right? And says, you said that was completely...
You can't come back from that.
You can't come back from
verbatim,
that.
Right?
And he's like, how do you come back to that from a presidential sort of position in UFC, but also with your wife in a personal level? How does that happen?
Yep.
And I don't think the responses were that.
So what was the response? Look, to the second point, how does he come back to his wife? That's their conversation. So
I don't really want to know that.
That's on them. But the first element, what was his response
on
to
a
that?
professional level? And he's like, that was he has said, look, I could take 30 to 60 days off, but what is that going to do?
So that's a defensive answer, really.
Yeah, it
right?
is, really.
It is another.
But I think he's the wrong person to ask. You have to ask the owners of the UFC, right?
Who are the owners?
The ones above him. The ones that bought her.
Yeah.
The ones that bought her out.
So that's
a while back.
You're right. You're right. This again, very seemingly, if we can start seeing the themes here, it's who gets to decide these really high level.
Is UFC a publicly traded company?
It is, yeah, Endeavor.
So there would be a board of directors.
Of course, there. Yeah, he definitely has a boss, right?
Yeah,
he's the president of the UFC, so he is the guy on the camera.
He'd have to answer to the board, right?
Yeah, there is. He definitely does have a boss, right? That we don't know of it is irrelevant, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's interesting. That has rubbed a lot of people off the wrong way.
What do you think is the right sort of consequence for this?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, but I think the right consequence is something should happen effectively. You just can't. It's the wrong. Firstly, it's wrong.
Yeah.
Number one, right? That alcohol was involved is irrelevant.
Yeah, to me,
a factor, but irrelevant. Yeah,
a factor, but I don't think he should have said it that it was involved.
Just own it, right?
It just makes you look bad.
Sure.
Saying it
Sure.
This is not on at any level. Doesn't matter whether alcohol's involved or not.
So if it was me, it's a hard one. But the way to look at it is, I mean, just take Dana White out of it. If he's a leader of an organization, and the leader is a reflection of your organization, right?
Yeah.
So if you had a CEO that was, I mean, the only thing I'll say that just blurs the lines here is if this was any other industry apart from the fight industry, the things that you know what I mean. It's
kind of
just
similar to what we're
weird.
going to talk about later with WWE. It's actually very similar.
It's a weird industry. Okay, let's flip it. If this was like a tech company, right? Let's just say a social media company.
Yeah.
You can't have your boss like walking around drunk and being photographed in that. But Dana White is in the past repeatedly. He's a known gambler.
Yeah.
Like he that persona is almost the same target market of Tate. It's the same they worship him, and this hero worship. Actually, that's the bit that I forgot to talk about. Tate. This hero worship by young men, this is my jam too, right? Like I've got MMA Live TV, by the way. Go to that channel, subscribe, and all that jazz.
Better subscribe.
It's a good channel. It's a good channel. Just started. Anyway, it's a good channel, but like I am like the target market, right? So.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you look at my searches, I love the business acumen of Dana White. I love UFC, all that content I soak up. And same thing about Ye, in the sense that when you have your idols, like calling Dana White an idol is just stretch. But what I'm saying is when you have such a strong opinion of someone, you're just bound, like the disposition is to take it under the rug in things that are really bad. So if this was not Dana White, someone else, like just say Dana White's 2IC, I can't remember, like Sean Shelby or someone, then he would be smashed. Like he would absolutely be chopped.
Well,
right?
actually, I'll give you a counterpoint, right?
Yeah.
So remember when Conor McGregor was going around chucking trolleys into buses and smashing and getting arrested, right?
Yep.
I was 1,000% sure he would get fired from the UFC. I was like, this guy has got charges with like actual assault charges.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think they'll. But then like they didn't.
It's a cash cow. Like
it's a cash cow, right? But like, then it sort of brings into question, how is the UFC being run right now? Right? Is it something where the board of directors would care? Because if it's a publicly traded company, the board of directors in that situation with Conor McGregor would be like, man, we can't have this. It reflects badly on our brand, right? If they're not saying that for Conor, I doubt they'll say that for Dana.
Well, to speak to the brand, I think their share price has dropped a little bit off the back of it.
So that type of drop in share price will freak out the board of directors. They'll be like, "What's going on? We've got to do something then, maybe about this."
The other interesting element is the support that he's got from fighters.
Oh, really?
I mean, again, you can start like without getting support, and a lot of fighters have said it's wrong as well. But again, fighters are not the smartest bunch. The way people word
that's their
things,
boss. They're not gonna.
Yeah, see what I mean. If it was another fighter, I'm sure that guy would be slammed.
Is there fighters in Bellator giving him support?
Yeah, well, but that's what I mean, right? Firstly, it's a trending topic, so you're gonna get eyeballs off it, and for a lot of fighters, eyeballs is currency for them. That's number one. Number two, like it creates and to tie into that, there's been a lot of controversy, shall we say, from your boy Ariel Helwani, but from a lot of people about the lack of coverage from ESPN.
Yes,
and I think it has been said that employees from ESPN have been explicitly told to let go of this, not to cover it, because Dana, I mean ESPN,
they've
and
got deals
UFC have got deals.
They've got deals, and
a lot of people just seemingly play under different rules.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, I don't think the board of directors will really go down on Dana because not go down. We'll have any consequences with Dana White, right?
Sure.
Because if they're talking like that with ESPN,
that
tells to me that Dana White is not facing any consequences.
Yep.
And ESPN better come in line with this, because if he's not facing any consequences, then you should not be talking about it. That's probably what the messaging has come from UFC to ESPN, maybe to a lot of its media partners.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ariel doesn't really care.
Aryl's going to grudge.
Aryl's going to be, and I've watched Ariel's reaction to the press conference as well, and he's discussed at it as well, and he does have a bit of a point.
Yeah.
Like, look, man, Dana and Ariel have had a pretty.
Oh, they love each other.
Pretty bad history there. I mean, with the whole Brock Lesnar thing, and
yep.
I don't think Dana ever really forgave Ariel for that after that, and I don't think the type of stuff that Dana
they're not
was saying
on
at
each
the
other's
time.
Christmas cards.
Yeah, and Ariel brought up how Dana was saying that, because Errol was crying, about
Yeah,
losing
yeah.
his press pass, which you might lose right now as well, or never get. But but like, yeah, he was crying, and then Dana was saying, "Oh, your kids are gonna look at this, right?" And Errol's flipped it now with, "Well, your kids are gonna look at this video. What are you gonna say about that?"
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a tricky
an interesting one,
situation.
right?
It's a tricky situation because
Yeah.
if the board of directors aren't really wanting to put any consequences to this, then it's just business as usual. Then I
tell you
guess
this, right? Is this gonna stop you from watching the UFC?
not really.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No, it won't.
Yeah.
It won't. But that ultimately, that's what's gonna happen. It's part of the news cycle. In a couple of weeks.
I also think you're onto something with the audience, right?
Yeah.
Does the audience care enough? I mean, if it was,
They don't.
If it was an audience of people on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Then I think he would probably be fired.
Yeah.
But I believe the audience.
The audience is so aligned. Okay, it's hard because Dana White and the UFC as a brand are synonymous. But
do I believe he'll be booed at stadiums? Yes. I think he will.
Yeah, people boo even people they like. So that's neither.
Well, no, I think he'll definitely get booed at stadiums. I think there will be like his public image has got like tarnished.
Do you think if you were Dana White's PR publicist or whatever, and you said and he said, look, you tell me, I pay you the big bucks. What should I do to try and combat my reputation, which is taking a hit here? What would you do? What would you tell him? What would you tell Dana Bolthead White?
I'd take 6 months off, man.
Yeah. You think 6 months off?
I'd say take 6 months off.
Yeah.
Just focus on your family life at the moment.
Yeah.
Focus on your wife and come back. Put someone else in charge for now. Come back when you're ready, and because it just feels like there's a lot of heat at the moment, and I don't know whether...
Well, isn't he running away from the heat if you take 6 months off?
I don't think so. I think it's just... It'll give everyone some room to breathe.
Yeah. Can he take 6 months off now that he's said what he said?
No, not now he can't.
Why not?
Oh, it would look...
Can't you say... I've had a come to Jesus moment when I realized that I was really wrong and I need to take 6 months off because the board has told me to.
The board has told me to do that. That'll look even worse. But if I was his PR guy, I'd spin it in a different way. But no, I don't think I'm not thinking that the board of directors will do nothing.
Yeah,
like they've done nothing for a lot of the history of the UFC.
Yeah,
they've done nothing on a lot of fighters crossing the line and.
People be crossing the line these days, man.
Yeah, man.
No consequence. There's just no consequence out there.
Yeah.
All right, Jesus, this is the second podcast, and we go into this stuff. It's doing my head in. All right, let's talk about this WWE stuff.
Man,
what's happening? Tell me,
mate.
What is happening?
From drama to drama, we're going to now, right?
It's like a harami podcast.
Harami podcast, yeah. Mate, this is big. So just to sort of give context as to what's going on. So last year, Vince McMahon, the guy's made WWE, the head of everything, he was, I guess, forcibly retired, right? Because there was a lot of allegations against him, sexual misconduct.
Yep.
And he used company funds for this to pay him off.
Yep.
So he retired around June, July, and his daughter and his son-in-law took over, Triple H, if you guys might know him, and Stephanie McMahon. They became the heads of, I guess, the WWE, running the creative and the corporate sort of side of everything. So, fast forward to now, last week, Vince McMahon, it's leaked by the Wall Street Journal that Vince McMahon wants to come back.
Okay. When you say he still had ownership of it, right? He just steps out of leadership.
So he got off. He was off, obviously working there in terms of the creative.
Yeah.
And he was off the board, and he was just finished, retired. And he had a little tweet that said, "Finally, it's time to retire.
Yep.
See you, WWE Universe. See you later." Yeah. So last week, it's leaked that and this has happened very quickly, by the way. Last week, it's leaked that Vince McMahon has intentions to come back to WWE. in order to sell it.
To sell it.
To sell the company. And it's sort of, a lot of people were like, no way this can happen, right? Because his daughter and his son-in-law have been running it, some say even better than he did. The share price has gone up.
Yep.
And, the attendance, ratings have gone up, everything.
Yep.
So he's saying that he wants to come back to sell it, and that, because he's got 80% voting rights, he should be the person to sell it. It's not appropriate for anyone else to. It's his baby. He needs to sell it.
Yep.
That was the rumor. A couple of days later, and by the way, like when this rumor was sort of heating up, there was a leaked sort of board decision to say that it would be a terrible decision to bring him back. Unanimously by all, it was voted unanimously by all people on the board, right? That would be a terrible decision to bring him back. Next minute, he's brought back. He's brought back on the
board. If he has 80%, like the board has no say on it.
Well,
right?
basically, he fired
the board.
He fired 4 people. He fired 3 people from the board, and 2 people that were doing the investigation into him about those allegations. They resigned.
Sure.
And he brought in his own people, right?
As you do.
He's back on the board, and then he's back on the board on the Friday, and then on the Friday you have Stephanie McMahon telling talent there'll be, it's all fine, everything will fine, there'll be no changes. He's just here to, look at the media rights and also possibly to sell the WWE. This is so high level, it won't affect what's going on.
Yep.
Come Tuesday, Stephanie McMahon resigns as the CEO.
His wife, is it?
Yeah, that's Triple H's wife, and she resigns as CEO. So that's massive change that she said wouldn't happen. And she resigns, and the day that she resigns, there is this big rumor that WWE has been sold to Saudi Arabia.
Sold
the Saudi
to a Saudi.
No, to the Saudi Arabian government. So Saudi Arabia.
God damn, you can't do that.
Yeah, the Saudi Arabian government, they actually invest in a lot of
entertainment,
leagues, sports teams around the world.
The Saudis love WWE. Is there a Saudi WWE?
So luckily there's Saudi. So that's another thing, right? They've been doing Saudi shows recently because they pay a lot of money, right?
Yeah, but is there any Saudi talent in the WWE?
Oh, I think there's 1 or 2, right? As part of it. So she resigns, and there's massive rumor that it's already been sold.
Yep.
And that's now it's come to light that was untrue, that this has not been sold. But a lot of people are saying, well, there's smoke, there's fire, and they're saying that they're probably the top front runners, because what would happen if WWE were to sell to like a Disney or a Fox is that it still would be a publicly traded company.
Yeah.
I believe Vince McMahon wants to come back into power, into the creative side. So he's going to sell it to the Saudis and make it go private again.
Well, what's behind the motivation to sell? I don't understand it.
I believe it's Vince McMahon wanting to come back to power, but I also believe it's because it's his creation.
Yeah.
I don't think he even wants to give it to his family. He wants to just sell it off himself. It was his creation.
Yeah.
It's not his daughter's creation. It's not his son-in-law's creation.
Yeah.
He wants to either destroy it himself, or he wants to sell it off himself and be done with it. And this has caused massive sort of problems. Like, because if they sell it to Saudi Arabia, there's like Jewish talent there. There's a lot of talent that don't go to Saudi Arabia when they tour. Women's wrestling, what happens to that?
Yep.
Stuff like that.
Yep.
It's sort of bringing a lot of moral, sort of ethical sort of conversations, like what's going to happen to that company if they sell to Saudi Arabia, and it's causing a lot of grief amongst wrestling fans, and a lot of people saying it's the end of wrestling because if they're going to get sold to the Saudis, then it's the end. But now we're hearing a recent rumor is that they have a rival in the wrestling industry called AEW.
Yeah.
By Tony Khan. He's the son of a billionaire called Shad Khan.
Yeah.
That they're also sort of putting a bid in to sort of buy WWE. So it's this big sort of big story in the financial world as well. There's that, that we've got this big company that is possibly going to go for $10 billion being sold. And I think it's going to happen within 3 months.
3 months?
Yeah.
Drama. I tell you what. Triple H looks much older than his dad. What is going on here?
Yeah, man. He's like he doesn't wrestle anymore.
Get the rig on your boy.
he's a corporate guy now, and he heads a lot of. He's a chief of content.
Tell you what, they need to censor Google Images.
But yeah, it is a bit sad in a way, right? Because we grew up with WWF, and to see all that sort of go down the drain and sold to, I guess, a bunch of people who don't really know much about wrestling, the Saudi Arabians. They just sort of want to buy because they're buying everything, right? Because what's
Money
going
talks.
on in Saudi Arabia, and I guess a lot of countries around that sort of region, is that they've rich off their oil reserves, right?
Yep.
And they know that that's not going to last.
Yep.
They've got projections, and that you will have a lot of money now, but
So they're
you need
diversifying.
to invest
Sense. Yeah.
in companies because this will not last. So they've been investing, I think, in PSG, and I think there's a Qatari is owned by Qatar.
Yep.
And then there's Newcastle United in the EPL. It's owned by.
So they're diversifying across different business ventures, sports,
I think
other stuff as well. Yeah.
they have stakes in Disney and Amazon as well, right? So it really does bring into question, people are going on the moral stance, and they've got to go on the moral stance with a lot of companies then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just brings into question, what's going to happen now? Is Saudi Arabia going to own the world, or what's going on?
That's that oil money.
It's that oil money,
You know, Busta Rhymes said it right.
Arab
Was it
money.
DJ Khaled.
The Arab money, yeah.
Arab money. Whew, this I don't know if it's just used. This episode is just intense.
It is, man. There's a lot of things going on right now.
A lot of rabbit holes.
It's a crazy start to the year, I must say.
It's an interesting time to be alive. Okay. Let's switch gears. Let's bring it back to Australia. Are you familiar? Are you big with NRL? No.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
no, but I haven't watched
So
it
check
as much,
this
but yeah.
out. Okay, so my team, the Brisbane Broncos.
Yep.
Last year, okay season, but it ended horrendously, really. But amongst a couple of things that went well for them is they discovered new talent, right? So they have this young kid called Selwyn Cobbo, right? Superstar. I'm just trying to see Brisbane Broncos winger, fullback, young kid, effectively. I'm just trying to see his age, man. Jesus Christ. You can tell I did really good research for that. He's young, 20 years old, right?
Okay,
young kid, superstar. So he came in, scored 20 tries or something. The next Greg Inglis. Actually, they're comparing him to Greg Inglis, right? 20-year-old, they thrust a mic. You're right. We're living in such a social media generation that when these young kids come in, you see it in basketball all the time.
Yeah.
Do you even remember what the hell you were doing when you were 20 years old? If someone thrusted a mic to interview into it, how polished would you be? Crap, right? You'd be
not really that great.
Yeah, exactly, right? Can't even remember what I did yesterday, what I did in 20 years old. Anyway, the short of it is, Brisbane. So in Brisbane, heaps of pressure there, right? Yeah. So they've got the Dolphins this year, but really it's Brisbane and North Queensland and Gold Coast Titans. It's in Queensland. Brisbane runs that show, right? They're the big brother. Yeah. It's the richest NRL club.
The most established.
Yeah. So for the Brisbane Broncos, for those who are watching international, like the Los Angeles Lakers, every year, if you don't win a championship, it's seen as a bad thing.
Yeah.
So great club, prestigious to play for, but the pressure that comes with that's intense. So they hired a coach, Kevin Walters, who's played for the Broncos. Yeah. Let's call Kevin Walters LeBron, which might be, you can take that. You can take, in the sense that he has a lot of power or historical buy-in with the club. Yes. In that regard. And in take it out of context, though. Blow it up, please.
And in Queensland football, he has a lot of
Queensland football,
He does, yeah.
So he's a darling for the thing. And he's been under a lot of controversy, heat, right? Because he hasn't taken the Broncos out, right? Of the doldrums. Anyway, so our boy, 20-year-old, Selwyn Cobbo, goes on this podcast. By the way, this is just, goes on this podcast. It's not even a big podcast. Yeah. Let's just say it that way. And the individual interviewing him says, "What do you think of Kevin Walters as a coach?"
Oh,
right?
shit.
And Cobbo is laying back here. It's I think he's a good guy. But I don't think he's a really good coach, eh?
Oh my god!
So mate, all you need is one extract. God, I hope the extract don't get taken out of this podcast, out of context, and it got blown up. You got to know the context. Brisbane's under fire.
That's pretty brave to be talking about. Like, he's a pretty powerful man in Queensland football.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to be talking about
so
that.
this is in every tabloid, every Queensland rugby, even in the NRL. Cobbo, this is like you can go a million ways with this, right? All you need is that one extract, and then it's just blown so big. And you know, when I first heard it as a Broncos fan, I'm like, you know what? He's so young. It must be taken out of context. And then I read it. It's like, then I saw it. It's like, it definitely wasn't out of context. But
it was a dumb thing to do, probably. Like, you'd think, like, he's 20, he's young. Like, we do a lot of dumb things when we're young, right?
Yeah. And I mean, it's dumb. It's pretty dumb if you think about it.
Yeah. I mean, for your career, right?
Yeah.
If you're starting out in your career and you think going on a podcast talking about the most powerful man in Queensland football is a way to...
Well, your coach is your boss.
Yeah, your boss, right? Talking about your boss in a way that... I don't know. It's not smart. Yeah,
it's definitely not smart. But the context behind it is he's a country boy, whatever that means. But like he's shy. So I mean, like the point that I got to, you thrust a mic in front unless you're comfortable with that. And I tried to look at. I didn't try and see the whole podcast because it was difficult to hear the audio, but tried to see the context between it, and he's clearly getting used to the limelight of the media and answering it, right?
Media training he probably doesn't have.
So if you and I are just chatting, hey man, what do you think of your boss? And don't answer the question. But what I'm saying is, like, in that context, it looked like he was just chatting with a mate.
Yeah.
And you can have the bypass filter is not there yet, right? You don't have to say stuff like that, even if you believe it's true. Actually, and he's not the only one who said that. That's the other thing.
That's the thing with, like, you would say, like, in general podcast mediums, is that it doesn't really feel like you're in front of the media. You're just sort of back and forth with your mates. Well, you're
back and forth with your mate. That was the context of it.
Yeah, and I thought maybe the media training light doesn't kick in. That you know, you're just in a podcast back and forth with your mate.
Well, he's 20 years old.
He's 20.
He's 20 years old, right? So in his mind, probably, I'm telling you the truth. Like, I'm not being rude about it. Like, it's a factual statement. Yeah. Did you have to say that? Probably not. No. Like, probably not if it's your boss. But he probably thought, who's going to listen to this podcast? Anyway, you know, who's going to one extract? So someone found this one extract.
Oh, man. People getting cancelled for things that I said 30 years ago.
My God. And now apparently... not allegations, but, you know, my boy Kevy's butt hurt about it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you're, like, the coach of a team and one of your,
he's a star. He's a young star. Like, half of the NRL actually want him. Yeah. Like, everyone wants him.
Do you think this is maybe a ploy to get him out of his contract?
From who? His agent?
From Bronx? Oh, is he free? He's a free agent?
No, but they signed him, but he wants to be a Bronco. So he's come through the juniors there, and he said he's always wanted to be a Bronco. So I don't think so, because
usually they do media training with a lot of these young guys, man. Like, they got to...
You give me media. He's 20 years old. Yeah. Like again, it's 20 seconds of, and I try to say it verbatim how he said it, meaning reading between the lines, it's probably like...
So did he say it like, oh, it's like, yeah?
He said it exactly like I said. I'm literally trying to go over it. It's like,
was he like, oh, yeah, he's like, right,
yeah,
but he's not that great.
I think he's a good bloke, but I don't think he's the best coach. I mean, like, what's your best coach? Yeah. But to that point, a lot of people are saying, like, dude, this is your first grade team. So how many coaches would you possibly have?
Yeah, true.
I mean, people have different coaching styles, right? Yeah. You're not going to get along. How many bosses have you had? Like, you can pick a best boss, right? Yeah. And you can say, like, oh, he's a good person.
After 10 years of experience.
Exactly.
Working, yes, yeah.
But to that point, if that's your opinion, that's your opinion. That's fair, right? It's just that he said it. That's all it is. Yeah. It's all that he is. And to that point, a lot of people have said Kevin Walters has a different way of running the show that maybe doesn't align. Again, a lot of the players, they're younger players. So Gen Y, there's different generational... So footy is the universal language. You have to listen to your elders, and he's done things. And that's probably the biggest kickback. Who the hell is Selwyn Cobbo to talk to? Like it's just disrespectful. Which, yes, like I agree. You don't disagree with him. And okay, so
I'm pretty sure if he would have taken it back, he would.
Okay, if you were Selwyn Cobbo's PR,
man, I'm gonna start a PR agency, man. I'm giving free advice here, man. Come on,
a lot of dudes. Okay. Peep this out. Selwyn Cobbo, all the controversy. You know, he's on Twitter. It's like, bro, I'm getting smashed here. What I do? Like, so what do you? I don't think that's how Selwyn talk. But what would you say?
He hasn't released a statement, has he?
I don't think so. No.
No, I don't believe he
So
has.
what would you say? Come on, give Selwyn some advice,
I mean, look,
and don't tell him to go to Hustlers University. Well, maybe you should don't tell him about the Matrix.
You took the words out of my mouth. No, he's okay. I think first of all, yeah, he's gonna obviously release some sort of statement and say, you know, the words that I was trying to say were sort of not said the right way.
Yeah.
He could even say, oh, look, I've had previous coaches that I've connected with a bit more. That's probably what he was trying to get out. It's come off as Kevin Walters is not a great coach. That's not what that's not what he intended. And you know, he respects Kevin Walters. You know, he's one of the greats of Queensland Rugby League. You know,
so we agree he needs to say something, right? What if he doesn't say anything and lets it pass by?
If he doesn't say anything and it's just
it's a news cycle thing, so it will eventually.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't say anything, and it's just something that him and Kevin have worked out, then that's fine as well, really.
Yeah,
I
think you need to say something though, because you know what's going to happen. What's going to happen is in the midst of a season,
little things will
happen, and you're going to go up and down. Especially the Broncos might be a lot more down than up in the beginning.
Kevin might be very hard on him.
What happens is,
he's hard on every player, right?
One day Kevin benches him, and then
hell breaks loose.
It's, you know what I mean? Because they haven't closed the loop. So unfortunately,
actually, you know what I'd do, right?
Yeah,
press conference, Kevin and him. And then just say, look, there's nothing wrong here. It's just...
Well, you're on a boxing fight.
No, just have him there at the press conference, sitting down and say in front of the press, say, look, there's no problem here. It's just, he said, obviously have him say that. Like, I have no problem with Kevin. It's just like some of the words sort of, he said it wrong.
Yeah,
it's not what he meant.
I actually wasn't talking about Kevin Walters. Is that Kevin from...
I was talking about Kevin Chang, actually.
Kevin Chang.
Met this guy.
I was trying to coach this podcast.
He tried to coach me for 5 minutes, and I don't know why.
Talking about Hustlers University.
I was like, no, Kevin's not a great coach.
No, man. I don't even know the guy.
But, he's... I mean, look, it's not the worst thing that's happened on the rugby league in terms of media.
Hey, man, something to talk about.
But yeah, it's something I think they can. They're probably already past it within the team. But
someone's had a chat with the boy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep it in Australia. The Australian cricket team. What's happening? What's happening?
This made international news.
God damn.
So
Australians, man.
So actually, this little dates back a bit to November. So the Australian men's cricket team were supposed to play a test match against Afghanistan, right? Because Afghanistan is new in the cricketing world, and they actually got some really good players, and they play pretty well. Yep. The rankings they're above teams like West Indies. And
where's Fiji, by the way?
Fiji's not qualified yet. But like Afghanistan, because Afghanistan's sort of where it is geographically near Pakistan and India. The culture of cricket is there, and I mean, obviously we saw what happened a couple of years ago when the Taliban had taken over Afghanistan, and it really changed the way of life for a lot of people there. And so what's happened is Cricket Australia has basically last November backed out of that test match, saying that we can't possibly play this match against Afghanistan while there's sort of questions about whether they support women's cricket, right? Whether there's a women's cricket team or not. And I think that's a general
who communicated that stance?
Oh, the Australian Cricket Board.
Sure.
So Cricket Australia. Yep. They've communicated that. Look, we don't. I think there's an ICC sort of director as well that if you are on the top echelon of cricket nations playing world cricket, you have to have a women's cricket team. Otherwise,
that's an actual
that's a requirement.
Yeah, okay.
You have to invest, and you have to have it in the system, and you have to have a women's cricket team.
Yep.
Now, obviously, the Taliban has taken over, and back then in November there was questions, but not really any sort of action.
Answers,
any answers coming. So what's happened is there's supposed to be a one-day series in March that Australia were meant to go to the UAE, and because that's a neutral venue, obviously not going to play in Afghanistan, but they'll go to the UAE and United Arab Emirates, like in Dubai, and play 3 one-day matches. So they have backed out from that. Australia, and they've cited that in pretty more clearer terms, saying that we cannot play with Afghanistan as they do not support women's cricket and have no women's cricket team.
Yep.
So we will not be playing against Afghanistan for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
And this has caused a bit of problem because Afghanistan's players, they play in Australian's Big Bash League, which is a T20 cricket league here. And now some of those players are sort of questioning whether they should be playing here if they're, if they're
it's now
disrespect.
They're getting hurt. Yeah.
Cricket Australia is disrespecting
it's
their
their
country.
Yeah.
It's their nation, right? They're feeling like, like this shouldn't be, it's bringing politics into sport.
But this is a rule, right? So can't they just cite the rule?
I'm not sure if this rule is completely 100% in place, enforced, but from what I understand, right, is that a lot of boards take this on. Cricket boards, like individual cricket boards, are like if you were playing against, because how the ICC is set up, right? How the World Cricket's set up is that you have the ICC as like the sort of regulator of what cricket is, and then it holds World Cups and all these other world tournaments, and then it's the cricket boards of every nation. Now the cricket boards have to, obviously when they're touring each other, have to talk with each other. They don't talk with the ICC because the ICC just takes care of World Cups.
It's kind of like the Olympics, right?
Yeah, in a way, yeah. And then so if a cricket board doesn't want to tour another cricket board, then they can bring it up. But Afghanistan cricket board is saying that they're going to write to the ICC saying there's a breach, right? Because even though they're agreements to tour, they're breaching an agreement, Cricket Australia, but not touring.
Australia's breaching it. So what you're saying is if Australia let it slide, it wouldn't be that the ICC would come in.
No, I don't believe it would. But yeah, I think with Afghanistan Cricket Board lodging a formal complaint, this is going to get interesting because is the ICC now going to enforce that rule about women's cricket? I think they will. Yeah. And because to get test status is a big thing, right? You have to be. But
again, you need to be at a certain tier, correct?
Yeah, you have to be a certain tier.
Is Afghanistan in that tier or going to that?
They were awarded that tier before the Taliban were, because they were actually very good. They were actually a very good team, very good players. One of their players called Rashid Khan plays in Australia, is one of the most popular people in Australia.
Yeah.
So it's just got to this point now where it's a tricky situation now, because I think you're doing more harm by not playing as well, because the players, they were there before the Taliban came in. I mean, I'm pretty sure that whatever statement they put out is something that's being forced upon them, right? About even being outraged about
You think that the outrage has been forced upon them too?
Possibly, right? Because we're talking about the Taliban here, right? They're forcing things, onto whatever stature of government that they can.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, you're basically taking cricket away from one of the shining lights.
Is cricket massive in Afghanistan? It's not massive, but it's getting there.
It was getting to a point where it's big, man. It's like, that's the thing. It was one of their sort of hopes that they haven't. It's very hard to find hope in that country, right? With what they've gone through, and them being on that international stage was pretty big, and they've won some matches against some big teams as well. So it's just sort of a bit sad now, what happens to Afghanistan cricket now that the Taliban has taken over. I mean, my guess is that they're going to get banned. I mean,
Afghanistan?
Yeah, I mean, because to initially get that test status, they had to have all this system in place for women and all that. That's looked like.
So you're saying that this action by Australia has brought into light what they haven't.
Yeah. And I mean, they got international coverage because it's just sort of. I mean, a lot of people sort of forgotten about Afghanistan in the news, right? The media cycle. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it was the Americans leaving and that whole image of people hanging onto the planes.
Sure. Yep.
But nobody's really talked about Afghanistan since. What's going on there?
Yeah.
What's life like under the Taliban? And I mean, this is probably one of the first indications of, I guess, what is going on there. I mean, it's pretty bad.
Heavy. I mean, being someone that's not massive into cricket, not following the news cycle as third party, you think Australia did the right thing, right? There's no right or wrong, right?
It's hard, right?
But let's just, I mean, you
because the Taliban isn't the people of
they're not representative of, correct?
Yeah. A lot of people are there. This would give a lot of hope to play such a big team for Afghanistan, but I can understand why Australia can't play, right?
Yeah.
Why they can't support something like that, and
Yep.
But does it?
Okay.
But does it now bring into other teams? Like,
Can I give you another? Like, can I interject? So it's. I think in everything is in isolation, right?
Yeah.
So tick. Good for Australia for having a stance.
Yeah.
And good for them enforcing it. Like whether it's the right thing depends on what side of that coin you are.
Yeah.
What didn't the Australian soccer team do the same?
The Australian soccer team.
Yeah, I mean, there's heaps of controversy about the location that the most recent World Cup was held at.
Ooh. We're talking about this? All right.
No, we're not. I'm just going to leave it at that.
No. Okay, we'll talk about this. Look, that's just a changing of the guard, right? Of what I see. Changing of the guard meaning, right, a lot of people think for ages that, the US, all these Western countries were the most powerful nations in the world, right?
Yeah.
It's changed. It's not.
Yeah.
And it can be seen. I'll just give you like a very brief sort of outline of what this is.
What do you define power as, by the way? Military size?
Money.
Just money, yeah.
So what's going on is the World Cup previously, like how much you'd have to spend for a World Cup. There were figures of it going from like 10 billion to...
When you say spend, are you talking about the infrastructure or the
infrastructure
bids?
And also getting it.
Yeah. You have to,
Getting, and obviously we know what happened with Qatar. They've, the corruption and with FIFA and all that. That's happened. But if this is just some figures that have been released that show just how grossly, like, it's the difference between the bids. The most expensive bid before the Qatar.
Is this one in the Netflix documentary, by the way? No.
Yeah, I believe it is so, yeah. So the most expensive bid for a World Cup was $18 billion, Brazil. The one in 2014, right?
Yeah.
That was also expensive because they had to build like all the
stadiums and whatever,
infrastructure and stadiums. Now, $18 billion, you think, wow, that's a lot of money.
Yep.
That is nothing compared to $229 billion.
So they paid overs.
It's on another level of money that you and I and really anyone will understand.
Yeah.
$229 billion. You've paid more than $210 billion for a World Cup, and it's just a level of money that I just can't believe that they're playing on that field.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I believe even stuff like WWE, man, Saudi Arabia can buy it if they really wanted to. Really.
Cool. I mean, like it's not due to lack of money. Because of that.
They will grossly overpay for things because look, they know about obviously their oil reserves will run out, right? So that area of the world is really powerful, and if they're buying everything out, they're gonna be a force if they own everything.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone's gonna answer to them.
Ooh. Oh, hold up. Tweet. Your boy. Kanye,
he's married to Aussie. I saw that. You can talk about that if you want.
Kanye West.
Well, there's not much.
He's married to Australian designer Bianca.
Yeah. She looks a bit like Kim, so it's a bit.
You say what you want about but Ye got a type.
He definitely got a type.
He ain't closed down something. Nah.
But he married an Australian designer. She looks like Kim.
It's good for Ye. Kim was saying that she's in a quiet girl phase, so she gonna let this.
Yeah, I mean, she had Pete and all that drama. Maybe she wanted to avoid that drama for a while.
Okay. If Kim would like to just go revenge on Ye, right? Like, what's the closest celebrity that looks like Kanye? No, seriously.
Ooh,
ain't no one that looks like Ye.
Not Don Cheadle. Maybe Kevin Hart. Maybe Kevin Hart. Like if he had like some shoes, like extra, tall shoes.
All right. Let's call it. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you got away to the end, please like, subscribe. What else?
Yeah, like, subscribe. Your boy has MMA Life as well. Like and subscribe to that.
All the help.
You can find me sometimes on Dork Entertainment. Like and subscribe to that. But
hope to see you in the next step. Cheers. Peace.